Hi, I'm Shawn Feeney, host of the Think Outside the Lines podcast. I recently sat down with Moscato and Tea host Chiquita Denny to talk about her latest short film, in addition to some of the other projects she's been working on. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I'm excited to share it with you now. Enjoy. Yeah,
I love it.
So what are we drinking?
I am drinking some Moscato, of course. You know, I need my Moscato. Get me right, get my head going. That's my drink of choice. It's I love this brand, the Stella Rosa peach brand. So I love it. It's the best.
Sounds super classy. I love it.
I try.
So you and I have been friends for quite a while now. And
yes,
it's been a long journey.
I know. I call you my husband.
Yeah, we used to call each other work wife and work husband.
Yes, we're not gonna say where we worked at, but
no,
you know,
God no,
yes.
We would never say that. So you just released your first short film entitled
I
Invisible.
did. Yes.
And I'm incredibly proud of you for that.
Thank you.
And you also have a podcast that we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
We're gonna dive in and talk about everything that you're working on.
Okay.
Because you've written a couple books. You're just out there killing it, and I'm really excited.
I'm trying.
But I want to, for the sake of this particular episode, I do want to talk about Invisible. And I just watched it a couple weeks ago. It's been out for a few weeks now, right?
Yeah. It's September 1st. It premiered.
Yeah, and it was definitely, like, I have to say, for me, it was very impactful.
Oh, okay.
And I think I texted you and told you this when I watched it, but I didn't know what to expect. I think sometimes when your friends produce art, sometimes it's hard to, what am I trying to say? It's hard sometimes to go into that with like an objective mind.
Yeah, of course.
Because like I wanted it to be good, but I was like, oh God, what if it sucks? I still have to pretend that I like. You know what I mean?
I understand. Believe me, I'm right there with you with my other friends and everything. And you want to stay positive and uplift them, but at the same time, you want to keep it real with them and tell them like you need to do better.
Totally, but keeping it real.
Yes.
Your film was amazing, and
thank you.
I was moved, and even the song, like just everything fit together really well. In fact, was it Tiffany that did the song?
Was my one of our mutual friends, my bestie, who you've actually had on your show. Tiffany, she wrote the lyrics with another gentleman. His name is Levi, who composed it, and it just, when I heard the song, be honest, I cried and stuff like that because it literally spoke to exactly what I was trying to say. And I'm just so grateful for them both, for the process and everything. And it was just like, it just blew me away. I feel like, honestly, the song sells the movie when you really think about it and stuff, because it just speaks volumes to, way things are right now in our world, our country and everything.
Yeah, for sure. What was your objective, in your message that you hope to convey with the film?
My overall objective was basically, I just wanted people to open their eyes, to wake up and to, start a conversation and just figure out how we can, honestly do better. Because it's frustrating to constantly see, every other day something on the news or social media about another, killing or another type of police brutality type of situation. I just wanted something message to get across that if we just as a community, as a society, just look at each other and just have the open dialogue, hopefully things can get better. And I just wanted something, even my small little piece of film could get people to start talking and have that dialogue. That's all I really wanted, no matter, if only 10 people saw it. I just wanted those 10 people, just to get the message across and to understand and start talking and opening up that dialogue.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I had been thinking for quite some time, actually, about doing a Black Lives Matter themed episode. And I think we've talked about it a few times, but after watching your film, like I felt even more motivated to do it.
Yeah.
And it's strange for me because obviously like I'm a white male. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like what is my place in this conversation? If there is a place for me in this conversation,
of course.
And I actually think that more like privileged white people need to be facilitating these kind of conversations from my perspective.
Yes. No, I completely agree. And I mean, honestly, just you giving me this opportunity and you just wanting to be interested in having that dialogue, I think just speaks volumes, and wanting to be involved in somehow, some way. Doesn't matter if it's the smallest thing to the biggest thing, but you just taking this first step, I think just shows, that you're open to any type of dialogue, any type of conversation or type of friendship to get this conversation and this movement, to get us as a society just better engaged in how we treat each other, and don't just go off of just because you see, Black person walking down the street, don't be in defense mode and just automatically think this aggressive negativity coming towards you. Just we're a human being, and stuff. So
yeah,
just totally. Wanted something.
Tell me more about the film, and what inspired you to kind of even begin this project. But what, for someone that hasn't seen it yet, like describe it.
Basically, I was actually, I'm trying to remember. I was at a friend's house, I believe, over the summer, and I was once again, unfortunately, I was watching the news and on social media, and I just happened to see, I believe it was another killing. I'm not sure. It was another police killing, and I just thought in my head, what can I do? I knew I couldn't do too much. I mean, I'm not, a rich, talkative type person, have a big backing behind me or anything like that. I just wanted to try and tell a story some type of way, my way, try and give back and get the conversation going. And so I was just scrolling on the on social media, looking up at the hashtags and everything. And I was just like, what could I do and try and get things going? And so I just had a thought in my head, and I was like, why not just try and write a piece, some type of, short or something, or just a trailer, just something. And I was like, what we don't see a lot of the times is the behind the scenes after, the hashtagging is going on, after the funeral, what's really going on with the family and knowing how they're dealing with it and stuff. Because we see, when they put up the police officer, whoever has did whatever, they show that for a day or two, and they show the person's name and show the photo of the victim, but we don't see behind the scenes after that in the family. And so I wanted to do something to show what happens to the family and what their life is like after, the killing, any of the shootings and killings and beatings and everything. And so I decided to just write a small piece, and it's called, like I said, Invisible. And it was actually just 7 pages that I wrote, and I wrote it in one day, and we actually shot it in one day. And it's basically about the grief that this young man, Anthony Spencer, deals with after seeing his brother, Jonathan Spencer, get killed by a police officer in front of his apartment building. And it's basically from misidentification, and he's shot and killed. And so I didn't want to go into the actual filming of any gruesome killings or anything like that. I just literally wanted to show the grief process and what that person will go through. And so we shot it at my friend's apartment last summer. And we basically just, filmed in her apartment, and thank God she let me use her equipment and everything. And I was able to get a small crew, mostly women, which I'm very proud of and happy about. And we just shot it, in one day, and we filmed. We were able to, this is kind of like they call guerrilla style filming, because we actually filmed at a funeral home. We, weren't supposed to, but we did it anyway. And we just shot it. And overall, I'm just very happy with the way it goes. And it's just basically his entire day and what he deals with 10 hours after the shooting, and how he handles things. And the entire process, it was a movement, and we did a couple takes, but it wasn't like one of those things where you have to do 20 to 30 different takes. The lead actor, Von Dexter, who's also my friend, he was my first choice for the role, and I'm very, very proud of him, and I'm very, very excited to see what's been going on with the short film, because I did submit it into festivals, and just to see, the outcome and seeing everybody love it. And it did win an award, which I'm very happy about and excited about.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations. I want to talk a little bit more about the award stuff, and just kind of what your intentions are as far as like distributing it, to a wider audience. But I have to say that, like, I think that was the thing that affected me the most, was the way you chose to tell the story, because again, like to your point, it could have been like you could have shown like the killing, and you could have shown like you know, the immediate aftermath of the killing, but you chose to, you know, show it. The lens is the brother. Yes. Right? Yes. And it's how he's impacted by it. Yes. And I actually think, to your point, like, we don't see that. You know, a few weeks ago, there was that, you know, the attack, I believe it was in Africa. Yes. And you heard a little bit from the wife, right? Like she, because our crazy president, you know, felt compelled to handle things. Yeah, totally. Yeah. But the way that he handled things is what brought the attention to her story and his story, right? Exactly. And you usually don't hear that. You usually hear, you know, this is, you know, Trayvon Martin was wearing a hoodie, and you hear some of his backstory, but you never really hear how it impacts the family. Exactly. Right? And, you know. And if anything, it's the killer. It's the person that kills that, like, all the focus is strangely on. Which is the saddest thing, because it's like, at the, you know, in the day, this was a child, you know, and all they were doing, you know, was just going to the store. I mean, and not just Trayvon Martin, you know, it was Eric Garner. He was, you know, the gentleman that was choked in New York. He was basically, you know, trying to make a living for his family. And you can't tell me any other day you see people selling things on the street or whatever. Oh, you know, they have a license or don't have a license. But to take it to that extreme, you know, and to just automatically jump to that conclusion, to just want to, you know, choke another human being, it's just like, to have that in you. And I, you know, believe me, I love I respect our law enforcement, police officers. I have law enforcement people in my family. I have an aunt who was in the Army. So this is nothing against, you know, any of our police force. You know, they protect us every day and love them and stuff like that. But at some point, you're looking at another human being. Yeah. And, you know, when you're saying to that human being, you know, when they're in, and I know they deal with pressure type of situations, and you're trying to assess the situation. So I don't know, but you're seeing this person, and if you're saying to that person, you know, whatever you're doing, stop or put your hands up or whatever, and that person is agreeing to what you're telling them, and yet you still are taking it to the next level, into another step, and to the point where you're literally continuing to choke this human being when they are telling you, you know, they can't breathe and they're not causing you any type of harm. At some point in your head, you have to, you know, something needs to click, because you've just gone above and beyond what really should have happened. Because let's take it even a step further. Let's look at the Dylan Roofs, or the gentleman over in Vegas, and then the gentleman over in Texas who was shooting up in a church or at a concert. And yet, you know, it's just automatically flickered just to kill immediately a black person, you know, not knowing what the situation is, and not even taking a step to just think before you react. Even the gentleman that was shot on the freeway a year ago, and the police officer, she was just found not guilty. And he literally had his hands up. And it's just like, to take it to that next level, drastic level, when they're already, you know, adhering to what you're saying as a police officer and putting their hands up and, you know, getting down on the ground, but you're still wanting to go a step further. It's like, you need to, at some point, they need to retrain, you know, some of these officers, I believe, honestly, because it's too much. Yeah. And I think it's interesting, because I think there's definitely, I think one of the misconceptions, at least from my understanding of like the Black Lives Matter movement, is that like, oh, well, all these people, you know, they hate law enforcement or whatever. And it's not that at all. No, we don't like shady law enforcement. Exactly. Just like we don't like shady bank people who are handling, you know, our investments. Totally. The same way we don't like shady people, you know, handling our real estate. You know, there's shady people everywhere, in every type of organization, every type of business. Yeah. And we want to make sure we clean that up. Hello, look at our president in Russia. Okay, let's figure out. There's shady people everywhere. So you will want to hold everybody to a high standard, especially our police force, you know, and want to make sure they're trained and set, ready to go to protect our community. So I think this movement, Black Lives Movement, is doing the same thing any other you know, organization wants to do. They want to hold our leaders to a high standard. Accountability, exactly, at the end of the day. And it's like,
you know, when you have, it's crazy to me, have our president just over in Charlottesville when he said to the KKK, they're just fine people. And yet you're